All right, so let's dive right in. Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to really cut through the hype around two massive, and I mean massive, forces that are redefining how money moves: AI and blockchain.
And we're not talking about, some far-off future prediction. We're doing a deep dive into how these are fusing right now in 2025 to build what you could call an autonomous digital economy.
Exactly. We've come through sources on everything from, well, staggering institutional crypto adoption to the rise of what people are calling agentic AI. The goal for you is to walk away understanding this key shift. Machines aren't just tools anymore, they're becoming economic actors.
And that's really why 2025 is such a pivotal year. The data we have confirms a systemic shift. This isn't just, some niche experiment anymore. I mean, think about the adoption pace. Generative AI has already hit over 54% penetration in the U.S. workforce.
Just 3 years in?
Yeah, just 3 years. That pace, it's actually faster than the adoption curves for the personal computer and for the internet itself.
And that speed is, it's almost disorienting. But what really anchors this whole story for me, and what our sources just hammered home, is the growth on the financial side. You can't have AI moving at the speed of light if the money is still stuck in the slow lane.
Right. If you're looking for that single, that aha moment in all this, here it is. This convergence is happening now. AI is the brain. It's observing, it's planning, it's acting. And the blockchain, that regulated high-speed infrastructure, that's the nervous system that lets it all move.
Let's start right there with that nervous system. The biggest financial headline of the year has to be stablecoins going mainstream. They've gone from being this niche crypto thing to the absolute bedrock of this new economy. So what are the hard numbers that show this leap?
The scale is, it's just mind-bending. Stablecoins, these are the digital tokens pegged one-to-one with the U.S. dollar. They reached a total transaction volume of $46 trillion annually in 2025.
Wow.
That's not just growth. It's a 106% increase from last year. It's an explosion.
Okay, let's just pause on that number, because $46 trillion, it's hard to even picture. The sources we looked at show that figure completely eclipses Visa's total global volume from 2024.
It does. Visa was at $15.4 trillion.
So we're talking about a new parallel payment system that is suddenly, almost overnight, bigger by volume than the biggest incumbent out there.
And that volume is backed by real assets. Total stablecoin supply just crossed $300 billion.
Yeah.
That puts the entire category, on par with systemically important financial markets. And this is the critical point.
Yeah.
It confirms the shift in how they're used. They used to be just dry powder.
Right, a place to park your money inside the crypto world.
Exactly. Now they're overwhelmingly being used as a medium of exchange. That means they're relevant to huge corporations and regular users who are miles away from the crypto-native world.
So if the tech is there, what's the pull? Why are these huge institutional players finally jumping in? What are the real-world benefits driving this?
It really just boils down to efficiency, speed, and ultimately a competitive edge. Think about a cross-border payment.
Sure.
A traditional wire transfer can take days. It's got multiple banks in the middle, high fees. A stablecoin transaction, on the other hand, settles in, seconds.
Can you give us a concrete example of that cost difference?
Absolutely. The sources point out that setting a stablecoin like USDC on a high-speed network, say Solana, which is built for this stuff, can cost a fraction of a penny.
Wow.
Sometimes less than 1 pence. Compare that to your standard international wire fee.
Yeah.
The value proposition is just impossible to ignore.
Yeah, that kind of speed and cost saving, that's the definition of a competitive advantage if you're running a global business.
For sure. And the big players are reacting. We're seeing major banks, JP Morgan, BofA, Wells Fargo, Citi. They're all exploring a jointly run, regulated stablecoin. And the card networks are all in.
Visa and MasterCard.
Visa and MasterCard are both enabling multi-stablecoin use for payments. For a company like Visa, it's all about balance sheet efficiency. If settlement is faster, that means counterparty risk goes down.
That's the risk that the other guy won't pay up.
Exactly. And it frees up capital that used to be just stuck, sitting around waiting for settlement to clear.
And this is where the macro picture gets really fascinating. The sources show these stablecoin issuers aren't just moving money around, they're becoming major players in the global debt market.
They really are. Because they have to back their stablecoins with high-quality assets, they have to hold huge amounts of government debt. As a result, Stablecoin issuers are now the 17th largest holder of U.S. Treasuries.
That's incredible.
Cumulatively, they hold over $150 billion.
So they're becoming this strategic force in how the U.S. government funds itself. It puts them right in the middle of the mainstream financial system. And that leads us perfectly into this whole tokenization trend, real-world assets, or RWAs. How do we define those?
RWAs are really just conventional assets. Think bonds, real estate, money market funds. But they're represented by a digital token on a blockchain. The big advantage is it allows for things like fractional ownership, better liquidity, and just way more efficient tracking.
And the growth here also suggests this is well past the experimental phase.
It's accelerating so fast. Tokenized on-chain assets, so cash, treasuries, that sort of thing, it's already crossed $36 billion this year. That's a four-fold increase in just 2 years. And what's crucial is that it's expanding beyond just, basic treasury functions.
In what way? What are some of the new use cases?
Well, you're seeing fund managers like WisdomTree and 21 Shares using on-chain wrappers for intraday settlement. That means they can move assets around constantly, not just at the end of the day. And in equity markets, companies like Robinhood and Figure are looking at tokenized security trading.
Right, and we're seeing these huge valuations in things like prediction markets, Polymarket at $8 billion, Kalshi at $11 billion. It shows that entire large-scale markets can be built on these new rails.
Exactly. So the big takeaway here is that the nervous system, this fast, efficient, programmable financial layer, it's here. It's ready.
Which brings us to the brain, agentic AI. We've got the programmable money. Now let's talk about the autonomous agents using it. What exactly is agentic AI, and why do stablecoins become so essential for it?
We've kind of moved through these phases of AI, right? We had predictive AI, then generative AI, which creates things. Now we're in the era of agentic AI. These are autonomous systems that can observe something, make a plan, and then actually execute complex tasks in the real world.
With little or no human input.
Right. And that ability to act is what makes them totally different.
And if they're acting economically, let's say buying cloud computing time or paying a supplier, they can't be held back by old, slow financial plumbing. They need money that moves as fast as they do.
Precisely. They need instant programmable money. That's exactly what stablecoins provide. And the investment world sees this. The numbers are clear. For every VC dollar that went into a crypto company in 2025, 40 cents of it went to a company that was also building AI products.
And that's up from, what, 18 cents last year?
Yeah, more than double. The market is betting big on this convergence.
So let's make this tangible. How does an AI agent go from being just a piece of software to an actual economic actor? What does this AI native commerce look like today?
It looks like specialized new infrastructure. You have companies like Pay3, for instance. They've built an agentic payments platform. It's designed for agents to autonomously execute and even optimize their transactions.
What does that mean, optimize?
It means the AI agent can handle its own billing. It can do dynamic pricing based on market data and manage its own treasury flows. All of it using stablecoins for instant global settlement.
So the agent itself is earning money, paying bills, and maybe even investing its own profits.
That is the vision, yeah. Catena Labs is another one. They're building what they call the first regulated AI-native financial institution. They're essentially creating bank accounts where the customer is an AI agent, not a person.
That brings up a whole host of fascinating questions about identity and regulation.
Yeah.
But the big networks aren't waiting around.
Not at all. MasterCard has its Agent Pay initiative. Visa is pushing intelligent commerce. They both see that the next wave of payment volume isn't just human to human. It's going to be agent to agent.
And adoption is already happening.
It is. Our sources show 62% of organizations are already experimenting with AI agents, and 23% are actively scaling them up, mostly in places like IT service desks and deep knowledge management. It's happening.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit to the trust issue. The sources show that AI and blockchain don't just transact with each other, they kind of solve each other's biggest problems. Blockchain is all about trust, and AI has this black box problem. How does blockchain help with that?
It brings auditability. The black box problem means you often don't know what data a model was trained on, or if that data was tampered with. Blockchain gives you data provenance, a tamper-proof, unchangeable record of the training data, the model itself, even the prompts it was given.
So if an AI makes a decision that costs a company millions, they can go back to the blockchain and cryptographically prove the integrity of everything that led to that decision.
That's it exactly. And this is so crucial in regulated fields. Companies like Prove AI are creating governance systems by logging all of that AI training data and metadata on a hybrid blockchain.
Can you just quickly explain what a hybrid blockchain is in this context?
Sure. A hybrid chain gives you the best of both worlds. The company's proprietary data, the training set that stays private, but a cryptographic proof, a hash, gets logged on a public layer. So you get enterprise-level control with public auditability.
That makes perfect sense. And it goes both ways, right? AI is also being used to make blockchain more secure.
It is, yeah. AI agents are being used to scan smart contracts for bugs before they're deployed. And they're analyzing transaction patterns on-chain in real time to spot fraud or attacks. It's a really synergistic security relationship.
Okay, but for these systems to work, they have to be smart. They can't make dumb, expensive mistakes. Our sources point to two key technologies making this happen, RAG and AutoML. Let's start with RAG retrieval augmented generation. Why is that so important?
Argry is basically the architecture that solves the biggest flaw in large language models. Hallucination, when they just make stuff up. Instead of only relying on its static knowledge, a RAG system connects the LLM in real time to a company's own proprietary data. Things like internal documents, databases, support tickets.
So, in other words, the LLM stops guessing and starts citing its sources.
That's a perfect way to put it. It retrieves relevant, verified information before it generates an answer. This makes the agent fundamentally more trustworthy.
And what's the measurable impact of that?
Oh, the results are dramatic. Our RAG systems show 50 to 70% fewer hallucinations than standard LLMs. And their accuracy on internal queries is often in the 75 to 85% range, or even higher.
And financially, this must save a fortune.
It does. It means you don't have to do expensive, constant retraining of the model every time your data changes. That translates directly to cost savings, with sources reporting a 20 to 50% reduction in manual labor for knowledge management.
Okay, that makes it viable. Now, where does AutoML fit in? Automated machine learning.
AutoML is all about democratizing AI. It automates the super complex, time-consuming process of actually building a machine learning model. So it handles data prep, feature engineering, picking the right algorithm, all of that.
So the barrier to entry just plummets. You don't need a team of PhDs to build a powerful custom model.
Exactly. It removes so much of the technical friction. And because it's automated, AutoML can test thousands of different model configurations at once, which can cut development time by 80 to 90%. That speed is essential for things like real-time fraud detection on the blockchain.
So looking ahead, we've got this incredible momentum. But what are the main hurdles these systems still have to clear as we head into 2026?
I'd say there are two core challenges. First is just raw scalability and interoperability. Running really heavy AI computations directly on-chain is still pretty difficult. That's why we rely on layer 2 solutions to speed things up. And getting all these different blockchains to talk to each other requires better interoperability protocols, like what Polkadot and Cosmos are building.
And the second challenge is more about the risks of having these autonomous agents out in the wild.
Yeah, AI system risks. Things like algorithmic bias are still a concern, which is why that blockchain provenance is so important. But more practically, these agents have to learn to deal with unpredictable human behavior. A customer changing their mind, or even something physical like jaywalking all while staying secure against cyber attacks.
So despite those challenges, what's the main story for 2026? What should you, our listener, be watching for?
The clear trend is infrastructure getting legitimized. The regulatory picture is finally clearing up. We saw huge moves in late 2025 when the OCC gave conditional approval for national trust bank charters to firms like Circle, Paxos, Fidelity Digital Assets, Ripple.
That's a massive shift. That brings stablecoins and the whole infrastructure right inside the federal banking system. It institutionalizes the entire market.
It legitimizes the rails. And based on that, the industry prediction is just massive growth. Stablecoins are projected to grow 10x to over $3 trillion by 2030. They are fast becoming the foundational internet dollar for both humans and increasingly for machines.
So this whole deep dive really paints a picture of a fundamental rewiring of our financial architecture. You have the convergence of these high-speed stablecoins with these smart, autonomous AI agents. It's creating a system built on speed, programmability, and a level of auditability we've just never seen before.
And the strategic takeaway for any company listening is pretty clear. Operational speed is the new currency. The companies that figure out how to integrate AI and blockchain, now using AG for accuracy, using stablecoins for settlement, they are going to build a competitive advantage that could last for decades.
So if we accept that AI agents can already reason and execute complex financial transactions all on their own, it leaves you with a really provocative question to think about. Will the next trillion-dollar market be made up of companies with zero employees, or these agent-native businesses where the CEO might be the only human on the entire payroll? Something to think about until our next deep dive.